So can we do the transmission?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Given the context, a gentle enlightenment one, which is going to support all of this supports each other, doesn't it? So a nice one to lighten attachment to conditioning.
Hello, Helen.
Hi, welcome. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. And I'm so happy that you heard my call and answered it. And here we are today.
Yeah,
And we can talk about this thing called awakening.
absolutely.
Would you like to introduce yourself a little? Just let people know who you are, how you experience this awakening.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So yes, my name is Helen Amery. Based in the UK. Probably more surprised than anyone that I would get into the world of awakening and spiritual things. Having spent most of my childhood and teenage years and 20s, in fact, and to be fair, into my 30s too, rejecting and resisting and fundamentally rejecting religion. I didn't know there was a distinction between religion and spirituality. I saw religion as a pointless thing that wasn't needed. I saw spirituality as a soft and fluffy thing that didn't interest me. So yes, I was very surprised when in 2017 was kind of my turning point year, when things started to go a bit wrong. And whereas before I'd been in a psychological exploration, I started thinking, well, this doesn't seem to be all there is. It doesn't seem to be solving things. It looked like I had problems, and the psychology stuff wasn't solving it. It seemed to solve it in some places and not others. And so that was what began my quest, my questioning, my thought was, well, there must be something else. There must be something else going on that I don't know about yet. And that led me into a very foundational book on Buddhism. It led me into transcendental meditation. And then via an understanding called the Three Principles led me into non-duality. So 2018 was kind of the first stepping into all of this stuff and my initial big awakening experience. And then really since then, it's been a deepening and a clarifying and a shift for me. I don't know if you make the same distinction, but a dance between awakening and enlightenment. So I distinguish between those two things, and I can see how both have gone kind of back and forth in a way through my exploration. I came to Liberation Unleashed. That was in 2020, when I really wanted to see more clearly about the illusion of separation. And then 2021, I could still feel, although Liberation Unleashed was huge in terms of seeing through the separate self. I loved, my guide was challenging, but I needed that, you know.
Who was your guide? Sorry.
Oh my goodness, his name just went out of my head. I feel like I want to say it begins with a W. I can't remember. Wassam, yeah. Wassam, okay. Is that right? Yeah. So there was a huge shift from that. I remember feeling so much, everything was so easy in the following days, weeks from that. Although there was initial sadness, there was then this delight and this happiness. But it still felt like it wasn't quite it. And then the following year I had energy transmissions, which was because I'd reached a point where I felt like I was done with talking. I was done with verbal exploration and I wanted to just do energetic stuff. So that was kind of the final piece in the puzzle for me that then led to the full recognition and the restfulness and the peacefulness of knowing the truth of all this as one thing and not separate. So yeah, a little potted history there.
Wow, wonderful. And do you remember initially when you said you had your first experience? What happened then? I'm just curious. The first shift.
Yeah. So it was a massive falling away of all sorts of stories. I often describe it like a Jenga, you know, Jenga, the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the Jenga pile falling down. So it was just a normal morning, you know. I'd started working with a coach. So he'd been shaking my foundations of what this all was. You know, he was coming from the angle of the illusion and the scientific angle that corroborates that and says this isn't really material. Fact that we have this perceptual experience and that our human experience isn't all there is. You know, it doesn't take very long to see, oh yeah, because a cat has a different experience and a bat has a different experience, and it doesn't take long to see, oh yeah, ours isn't like the one. We've not got some monopoly. It's not, the world isn't like this for everybody, for every creature. So he'd like shaken a lot of my foundations of how I thought this was, what I thought it was, what I thought I was, what I thought others were. I did feel like I was in the Matrix movie, wondering, you know, if I just see a little crack, are there going to be ones and zeros flowing through? And also he was really starting to challenge my beliefs, my thinking, my ways of seeing things, what I believe to be truths. So this morning I was thinking about the fact I was going to be picking my kids up that night. I don't know if you do this, but I was kind of in this world of, maybe used to do this. I'd be like, right, what am I doing today? What's happening with work? What time am I getting the kids tonight? Where are they? You know, all that kind of stuff. And I had this thought that was along the lines of, oh yes, that's good. I'm getting the kids at normal finish time. And had this thought, oh, I'm a good mum. And then I stopped and I was like, what's that? Like, what's a good mum? Who decides good mum? And just with that, the whole construct of, yeah, good, bad, who would ever say, how could we ever define and put in a box, so this is what counts as a good mum? And all the associated thoughts and conditioning from parents, from society, all these other thoughts got tangled and like sucked in with it that were around my general apparent lacking good enoughness, you know, all that got brought in, that, oh, I've never been a good mum because I've never been good enough, all that kind of all got sucked into this collapse. And then I felt this wave of, it was like a lump, it was like a solid lump in my stomach, and it started there and it moved up and I felt it move through my chest and up into my throat. And then, you know, like when you want to cry, but you feel that lump in your throat. It was like that. And then suddenly it was out and tears were flowing and I was just crying, but smiling. Oh my God, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And I was just saying, I'm okay, over and over and over again. So, which I now understand to have been that collapse of the conditioning, what might be called an enlightenment experience, but revealed that awakened nature, revealed that truth of who we are, that okayness, that I'm okayness, that is just our essence. That's who we already are, always, already. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I was like, I remember going to voice memo him afterwards going, I think I might have just had a big insight. It was a little bit more than that. But yeah, that sense of okayness never entirely left me again. It's in anything that came after that, even if it seemed to get reduced, it was still there. There was still that knowing. It you know, we talk about things being in our bones. It felt like it was in my bones from that point, and everything that came after that was a deepening of it, a clarifying of it, a greater revealing of it. Yeah, so that, and ultimately, as I say, to that full recognition that, oh, then it all makes sense. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and I had a quiet mind for about 3 months afterwards. It was quite delightful to
Oh, wow.
yeah, to live in that peace. And freedom. Yeah.
Amazing. So it just happened suddenly, a huge collapse, a huge shift, clear seeing, a nice, peaceful 3 months. I mean, peace in the mind.
Mm.
And then what?
Yeah, and then it all came back in again. So little bit by little bit. In fact, it was so incremental, I didn't really notice it. It wasn't like all of a sudden, quiet mind, and then boom, all the conditioning came back. It was a very gradual return of old stories, old narratives, old ideas being believed again. So just a real gradual then lessening, reducing of that feeling of full freedom and full expressiveness, you know.
And what
Yeah.
did you think then? Do you have such thoughts like I lost it, or I never had it, or what's going on?
Yeah, certainly they came and went throughout the whole time from certainly through, certainly for the first probably couple of 3 years even. There would be times of thinking, I didn't really see anything, or it's gone forever, or I found I was so slightly obsessed by the exploration. And I think part of that was fear driven. If I didn't keep exploring, it would be lost. Like that I'd seen would somehow disappear, or I wouldn't get it back, or I wouldn't know enough to be able to, because I was working with clients as well. My changes, my clients' work with clients changed, and different people came and went because some liked what I was saying and some didn't. Fair enough. But yeah, it was certainly there was that experience of have I lost it? One of my primary patterns has been self-doubt. So that self-doubt was certainly present. Yeah, do I really know this? Do I know enough? Have I really seen anything? Yeah.
How
Like you say, in
interesting.
difficult times, has it gone forever? Yeah.
As I noticed this pattern in a lot of people that I communicate with, that after a while, after this initial peaceful, wonderful place, the doubts come up. And for me, it's interesting because I never had doubts.
Oh, wow.
For me, it was like, okay, there is no Ilona running the show. That was the final thought before the mind stopped. And with that doubt never ever came up. And I was listening to other people. I thought, maybe I should doubt, see what happens. So I was just sitting, okay, let's doubt this. How does this look like if I doubt this? And it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of people go through this. Have I got it? Have I lost it? And I think it's very important to talk about this stage, because when you think that I got it and lost it, it seems like, the end, or something is wrong. But there's nothing wrong. It's just hitting deeper level of conditioning, or deeper level of conditioning is arising to be seen through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I talk a lot with people about that oscillation. Yeah, that movement back and apparent movement back and forth. Yeah. Yeah. And it makes so much sense if we think that, so for most people who probably don't have the experience like you had, if we've lived from that mind, from those constructs for so long, and then we have these drops into that beautiful space and that feeling of freedom and joy, and given the mind's constructs are fear-based and think that, they're based on, if you don't do this, or if you do this, you'll be in trouble. It makes sense that to be in an experience that seems so counter to what the mind has said is allowed, of course it's going to like come back and suck us back into its story, going, what are you doing? You can't be that free. You can't be that peaceful. You can't be that happy. No, come back. Remember, this is who you are. You're the one who's doubtful. You're the one who questions. You're the one who thinks you're not quite enough. And then we keep exploring and we see some more. And we fall back into the feeling of ourself. And then the mind goes, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing? So that oscillation makes perfect sense to me, that as we, I'll talk about it like as a seesaw. It's like we've been so used to the seesaw being in one position. and we're gradually getting used to the fact there is movement, or the apparent movement, and we kind of get more familiar with tipping the seesaw the other way, until that becomes the primary state, that becomes the primary known, that yeah, we are always this, and then there's all this content of experience, then there's stuff happening, and emotions and relationships and jobs, and yeah, coming into that alignment with how it's always been, which is so settling.
I would say that for me, the conditioning remained, and I think I cried buckets of tears.
Right.
I was still suffering, but there also was this space, or this knowing that it's just happening. This is what is just flowing through, and there was freedom in that. There was freedom in crying, or being angry, or being upset and disorientated, and all that stuff was still happening. It's just that there was no doubt that there is somebody here running the show.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. You're such a beautiful example there of the kind of what appears to me that one of the most extreme ways of experiencing this, like a beacon of, yeah, this is what's available. This is really what's already going on. Because yeah, certainly I've seen that since 21, when I had that full recognition, the conditioning still plays, there are still patterns, but as they come up, there's no wrestling with them. There can be resistance, there can be a feeling of resistance, and that's a beautiful sign that there's something to go towards and to understand and to do whatever makes sense to do with that. But there's no the battle with it has gone. The idea it shouldn't be like this is gone. The feeling that it's about me, that it's personal to me, has gone. And I think that's what I hear in what you're saying. It's like the idea of me had dropped so completely that freedom, that open spaciousness for all of the stuff to come up and out was just there. It was just available.
Yeah.
And I think for most, it's just a bit more of a gradual, step by step.
Interesting.
Well, certainly most of the people that work with me but then perhaps they come to me because that's the kind of experience I had. we resonate with certain people, don't we? And yeah, you're perfect for us for whatever reason.
And can you tell me a little bit, you mentioned awakening and enlightenment. What's your definition of that? How do you see these two words? How do you define them?
Awakening's quite simple and quite discreet for me. It's the and for my co-author Sarah Priestley. That's why we aligned so well with the book we wrote. So awakening is purely the direct recognition of our essential nature. So the recognition and the knowing, the knowing deep within ourselves, not just intellectually knowing, the knowing of who we really are before any content of experience, before the awareness of a person, before the awareness of any thoughts, feelings, the body, activities, achievements, all that stuff. So purely that direct recognition, and the non-dual truth of that. So it's really important to us, the completeness of that journey, the fact that we're not just recognizing that essential nature, we're recognizing what it's like, we're seeing clearly what it's not, and then seeing how, in fact, all of that is still the one. It's still non-dual, it's still not two. So although there's this apparent essential me and what's not essential me, but really it's all one thing. So that's the awakening aspect for me. And then the enlightenment aspect is the conditioning, so the lightening of the conditioning. So yeah, it is as though the light of who we are, the light of our nature, as it is recognized more, it's as though it can infiltrate, it can flood, it can illuminate in the system things that couldn't be seen before. And like you said, it's like layers and layers. So I've seen that the psychological layer is often one of the easiest to evaporate or include, or whatever happens to it, disidentify from. But then the layers within the emotional body, within the physical body, they seem to come later, where things are a bit more dense or a bit more, I guess, probably originated prior to language, prior to thought, when we were younger. So those layers tend to come later. And so that for me is the ongoing process of, as the light of who we are shines on all of this that's out of alignment really with that truth of who we are, it gets to be seen, it gets to be understood, it gets to be included and loved, and again, whatever happens to it, I don't know, but life gets easier, life gets less cluttered, more straightforward, more loving, yeah, more aligned. It feels better.
I love how you said that.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Enlightenment, bringing light in, getting your light in alignment. Nice. Yeah. And what about this energetic thing that you mentioned, the energetic experience? What happened there?
Yeah. So a friend of mine went first. It was another of my areas of life where I was skeptical and doubtful, and I've kept meeting these things like spirituality where, oh, that's not for me. Oh, apparently it is. So this energy work was another of those. It was like, oh, that's just nonsense, and then find myself doing it. But a friend of mine had gone first, and he sent me the book that this guy had written, and that was really interesting. And then I watched from the sidelines to see what happened with James as he received these energy transmissions, just to see, you know, does he go loopy? Does he stop functioning in society? Does he, you know, let's just watch and see what happens. Anyway, all was looking good. He wasn't losing the plot. He wasn't losing touch with society. So I thought, right, I'll give this a go as well. And so essentially, the easiest correlation is often Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
You know, practitioners who, yeah, for anybody watching, listening who doesn't know, so practitioners will channel energy essentially through themselves to heal whatever it is that the person's come to them for. And so energy transmissions are similar, except they don't come through the person, they just come directly into the receiver. And they can take all different forms. So they can be just for awakening. So that dissolution of the belief in separation, the dissolution of that feeling of the contraction and the fear and the separateness. But they can also support the enlightenment process. And they can also sometimes just support people feeling more grounded or settled, or yeah, kind of, if we're having a tough time, a bit soothed. So I kind of use them now myself for all those reasons, because sometimes awakening isn't the thing that somebody really wants or needs right now. But it was, yeah, so I essentially had transmissions about fortnightly for around 9 months. And then culminating in, yeah, that feeling of separation disappearing, that full recognition of, yeah, just that settledness of, and the obviousness that this, everything's appearing within awareness. This is all a non-dual experience.
Wow, how interesting. And would you recommend the source where you went?
I would, well, now I offer them, I would obviously recommend me.
You are doing this now. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I would have, like, when I'd finished, I'd have thought, well, this would be great if I could do this.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't expect it to happen. And then I worked with somebody, and I can't even really remember how it first started being done, but it's a thing now.
Oh, wow, exciting. So maybe you can do an energy transmission for the listeners or the viewers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
And I've got some on YouTube too.
Okay.
I've got some freely available on my YouTube channel.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the links will be in the description, so you can find Helen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And her book and
yes.
website.
Yeah. But yes, they're quite wonderful. Like I say, for the point that I was at, where it's like, no more conversation. I can't talk about this anymore. I just want this to be done. I just want this full recognition. It was the perfect thing. But equally, I think they're so supportive. It's just a great way, because we know that language is clunky. We know that language can't do everything, get to everything. And so to me, it's just another beautiful support. It's another lovely tool and way of supporting people.
So you hold these sessions now for people?
So mostly one-to-one, either just a transmission on its own, or people have it within, if they have a normal Zoom conversation, and we keep some of the time at the end for transmission time. And sometimes I'll offer them to my community as like a little extra bonus in there. And then the free ones on YouTube, which are kind of they're the most gentle version, the YouTube ones, because obviously there's a broader audience, and so it needs to be appropriate and suitable for everybody. So all different ways, all different places. But I enjoy it.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so interesting how everything unfolds in most unexpected ways, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and it's a really nice point, because the thing that I remember thinking in the past while I was going through the exploration and thinking, gosh, how am I going to end up? What am I going to be like? I would sometimes look at teachers who I didn't particularly love and think, well, I don't want to end up like them. Like, what's going to happen to me? And so the thing that gives me huge heart now is that I've yet to meet anybody. Of course, coming into greater alignment with ourselves feels better than being the person we were trying to be before. So of course, like, it makes no sense that our lives would get worse. They might look different, but they're going to feel better. They're going to feel more aligned. They're going to feel more like us. So as much as the mind can throw up its fears and concerns about, but what will happen to me? What will happen to my life? What does this mean? As far as I can see it, and I imagine you're the same, things just get better on the other side.
Yes, and in unexpected ways.
In unexpected ways, exactly.
Yes, like, for example, when I just saw this, that was 2010, long time ago. And I would think, oh, what my life will be like in 10 years. And I had absolutely no idea. No idea. Till 10 years, maybe some idea, but after 10 years, it was just blank. I could not even imagine. And here I am living in an island that I didn't know existed. Like, how can you imagine that you don't even know exists?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I say you are where you need to be, and if you need to be somewhere else, you just like gently put in there. Or with a lot of earthquake. It can be very intense. Who knows? Yeah, but you are where you need to be, and it's just being open to whatever life is bringing, and whatever, in whichever way it shapes, and saying yes to that. If it feels right, it feels right.
Yeah. It seems to me, I don't know if you've seen the same, Ilona, but it's kind of like the beginning, if particularly for people like me who apparently lived in lots of contraction and lots of resistance and lots of ideas, that's more often a bigger shake at the beginning, like a bigger wake-up call to say, no, come on, you're not going the direction you're meant to be going. And then the shifts have lessened and lessened and lessened, so that it's become increasingly that what you've just described, that following what makes sense now, what feels good now, what's the next thing that's opening up. So it's almost like the big earthquake at the beginning, the big shake at the beginning, and then increasingly trusting in that movement of life and that invitation into the next thing. I've never yet come across somebody who then has another big shake later on. I don't know if you have, but
oh yeah, for me it's like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that no, it actually quite. The first was just like, okay, right? Like nothing happened. Life goes on as it was, except that there is no more that belief that I'm running the show. And the big shifts, they just continued to happen. And the earthquakes, they continue to happen. And like, for example, after maybe 9, 10 months, my heart exploded. It was like a nuclear explosion in my heart. There was so much energy going out. That was the huge earthquake. I didn't know it existed. And another thing, when we moved to Mexico, there were so many intense situations that again, everything is shaken up. Or when we lived in Lithuania 4 years ago, we lived in one house and it was like very comfortable, very quiet, nothing is going on. And then we decided to buy an old house in the village. And that was just intense. It wasn't what was expected. And so it wasn't like gradually lessened. It was more like, okay, it's peaceful, quiet, and then kaboom, and then peaceful, quiet, and then kaboom. So I don't know what happens next. Now it's nice, but who knows what will happen?
Yeah. And I feel though as well the sense of okayness that is with that too, like the knowing that, well, no, of course I don't know what I don't know, so of course I don't know what might happen in the next week, month, year, 5 years, but that knowing of okayness with whatever it is, it's like, well, doesn't matter what it is, I don't mind what it is, trusting that what comes next is the thing to come next and can't be any other way.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, that okayness remains.
Yeah, lovely.
So can we do the transmission?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, given the context, I think, a gentle enlightenment one, which is going to support, all of this supports each other, doesn't it? So a nice one to lighten attachment to conditioning.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
Ideas like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll I'll just switch my sound so that everybody can hear the nice gong sound, because otherwise Zoom will cut it off. So I think now you should be able to hear that. Yeah, I think that should work. And we'll do 10 minutes. So everybody watching, listening, Ilona sat there, all you'll be doing is sitting in meditation. So all you have to do is sit and receive. So most people like to sit in meditation. Doesn't matter how much mind chatter there is, doesn't matter how distracted you get. Some people might notice it as physical sensations, sometimes the tingling of the head or a warmth. Again, doesn't matter if you're not feeling that, it doesn't mean it's not working, it's just everyone has unique experiences. Sometimes people see the colours, so I often see colours of the light, and so sometimes people see that on the receiving end as well. Again, doesn't matter if you don't. Any concerns after this, get in touch with me, no problem. But the invitation is is generally to sit for a little bit quietly, let it soak in, be gentle with yourself, plenty of water, ground in the earth if you can, and yeah, sit back and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. is that for you?
Thank you for your gift.
You're very welcome. Yeah, so normally I'd be saying, let's not talk, sit and let it soak in, let it do what it's been designed to do for you today. So if you want, we could stop talking now and you'd like to stay soaking it in.
We can talk a little bit more.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So there's a we all know, we come to increasingly see the intelligence of all of this, how this is all happening, and for me that's another aspect which there's an intelligence to that energy which it shows up differently every time. My mind still can have all sorts of ideas of, oh, this is the kind of thing they've come for, and so this is what the transmission will be like. But no, unexpected. It's it will show up how it's meant to show up for that person on that day, or for those people, as we've done today. Yeah.
I noticed that when we sit in silence with somebody else, and when both people are able to sit in silence and really quiet mind, then it's as if something else comes in. I would call it grace or presence, or just silence comes in and eats everything. It eats everything that is no longer needed. And when you sit on your own, it's great. But when you are with somebody else, it's like the energy gets multiplied.
Yeah.
And when you are with a group, it's really turbocharged.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Such a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's taking me back to my very olden days when I used to do leadership development and team development. And we'd say how the team is greater than the sum of its parts. But really, it was always that, it's what you've just described, when a team or a group are aligned in themselves and together, that multiplying effect is way beyond just the sum of each individual.
I experienced something similar in the physical, being with the group of people, and when you're holding hands in a circle.
Okay.
Like left hand is receiving, right hand is sending. And then when you sit with open people in that circle, the energy that it spins, it just becomes so powerful. It's very interesting. It's like a vortex of energy. And everyone has their own things in a circle, right? So it just gets spinning and burns through all that blockages or whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
It's very interesting. So when we sit in silence like this on Zoom or in a group, it kind of has the same effect. But nowadays, after all this COVID, and when people are used to sit on Zoom rather than connect in person, this is a great alternative. But I encourage, if that's possible, if it's available, to try to do that with real people.
Yeah, I would love to.
Physically.
I would love to, definitely.
Yeah, when you have a group, left hand is receiving, right hand is sending. So it's just everyone is the same. And it's wow. Yeah, very cool.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to try that. Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I've been thinking about an online retreat next year, but perhaps actually an in-person one as well would be nice. Zoom is amazing. I love what's been made possible through technology and all this this capacity to speak to anyone anywhere, but it really is beautiful to be in each other's presence, isn't it, in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous. I'm thinking, Ilona, I know that I'm meant to be the one being asked the questions, but I'm curious what's next for Liberation Unleashed.
It keeps going. I don't know what's next. It just keeps going. It's amazing. Yeah. Some guides work for a while and then they move on, and some new people come in and they step in and they continue guiding for free in their own time. It's beautiful.
It's an incredible service. I've directed lots of people to come to you because that specific aspect of the exploration just isn't a thing that I spend a lot of time on. It's just not my thing to focus in on. And so I love being able to say, yeah, you, there are some others as well, but yeah, Liberation Unleashed, I'm like, yeah, go there.
Sweet.
Go there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, oh no, of course. That's the beauty. I used to think there were some people who I was like, I don't think they're going deep enough, or I don't think they're sharing in the right way. I had all these ideas and judgments, and then one day realized, oh my goodness, no, everybody has a beautiful, perfect part to play in this whole thing. And that, as I've seen on my journey, how I've been taken from one person to the next, or one organization or the next, it's been, and each one has been perfect for that next step. So why wouldn't we want people who focus in on one particular aspect as well as those who do the whole thing, and yeah, everything in between? It's and yeah, I've always loved that in my old world work as well. I've loved being able to say, yeah, that's not me, but there's this great person, or there's this great organization, go there. I think that's yeah, for me, that's the delight of the diversity and the variety and the candy store of options available.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, we may have heard that, oh, you have to stick with one teacher all the way. I say not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore. It's all changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could not
Like
have done
everyone
that.
is our teacher. Everyone is my teacher.
Oh my goodness, my kids are great teachers. Yeah, they've been phenomenal throughout. Yeah.
Because we are so multi-dimensional, what's the word?
Faceted?
Huh?
Faceted? Multifaceted?
Yes, that's the word. Yeah, multifaceted. Like one teacher cannot do it.
Yeah.
Just full immersion into whatever comes up is right. So say whatever comes up is right.
Yeah.
Just follow that rightness that you feel. And you are always on the right path. There is no stepping off your right path.
Yeah. Yeah. Including when the mind says this is wrong, we shouldn't be doing this. Yes. Or they're no good as a teacher. I know. So Sarah, who wrote the book with, she said she was actually kind of glad she had a bit of a weak teacher when she started out, because it meant she couldn't put them on a pedestal. She couldn't treat them like a guru. She couldn't necessarily rely on everything they were saying. They gave her enough, but then it made her check and inquire and ask for herself. So what a gift, which a mind could easily say, oh, they're terrible, they're useless, they're not who I should be working with, but they were absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Helen.
Yeah, and you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. And I want to finish with just these few words. Everything is unfolding as it should.
100%. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.